For this project you might need to dye some stamens. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways of doing it. I have these pale yellow stamens, for example, which I can re-dye in other colors. You might have white stamens, that will also work. I'll have some white here as well. So for example, the first option, which is a quicker and easier one, is when you just want to add a little bit of kind of like a light color. So you can use, for example, I want to give them a bit more green color than just this yellow. So I have some dye here, and what I can do is I can just hold the stamens in batches like this and give them some quick dye dyeing in some quick strokes of my brush, so without dipping or anything like that. So this will work for some flowers quite well. You must remember that normally stamens are made out of quite delicate plaster, and it does dissolve if we use too much liquid on it. So your actions, whatever you're doing, need to be pretty quick. So this way you get a bit of green tint to your stamens, and it will work for some delicate flowers where you don't need solid color, or it doesn't have to be even. So if it's just a bit of green somewhere in the middle of the flower, some a bit darker yellow, or maybe a bit of brown for some roses, that also should work fine. So that's one option. Just quickly with the brush and let them dry. As you can see, I'm drying mine on plastic. If you put them on newspaper, they will stick and it might just ruin them. So another option, for example, you need more solid color, I don't know, for example navy or something, and your stamens are white, so you then will have to perhaps dip them into the dye. Normally for stamens, try to prepare a more concentrated dye to make your life easier. So I have these white ones here, for example, and this bright pink color here. So let's say I want to dye them throughout. So I will be using tweezers, and you can take maybe 2 at a time or 3, but be quick. So just dunk them completely, quickly, and then spread them again onto your plastic. Maybe 3, but I wouldn't do too many more, so you can see how they're sticking, and you need to be quick. They might be dissolving as well. If you have a bit of like a kitchen roll, for example, you can pat just to take excess moisture and leave them to dry. Be extra quick because they can dissolve literally to nothing. So I'm touching the paper just to take off extra moisture, but then I'm drying on the plastic. So you see, this gives you a more even color. You get, you've dyed them throughout, so the threads and the tips are all dyed. After they've dried, you might want to add, for example, if you have a bit of some brown, for example, or something else you want to add, you can do it with a almost dry brush like we did with these green stamens.